Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to another Arca Garage video. Today I'm gonna go over 10 things that could cause no heating in your car, and I'm gonna show you how to fix them. We're gonna start with the clogged heater core. Now, if you don't replace your coolant regularly, or if the coolant gets contaminated, these can get easily clogged. When that happens, you are not gonna have any heating in the cabin. Now, the good thing about it is that you can actually try to get it unclogged, and you can do this quite successfully. You gotta locate the hoses which lead to the heater matrix, and those hoses are gonna be these two right there. So this is one of the worst cases that I got in my garage. This is a Alfa Romeo 147. You can see I followed the hoses from the heater core. I connect them to my own water hose, and I connected this second hose so we can see what's gonna come out of the system. So I'm just gonna turn the water on, and you can see all of the nasty stuff that's coming out of the cooling system of this Alfa Romeo 147. Now, it is in such a bad shape because the owner used water instead of the coolant, and so the components started to rust. Now, I've managed to unclog the heater core using this method. Just make sure to do this until you get the clear water out. Moving on to the open thermostat. One of the first indicators that your thermostat is stuck in the open position is going to be the temperature gauge. Your engine will not be able to reach 90 degrees, and that's going to affect your heating drastically. So this right here is going to be your typical thermostat, and I'm going to use a heat gun to heat it up. Now, when the thermostat gets stuck in the open position like this, the water circulates through the radiator and the car can't reach the operating temperature. This also means that your heating is going to be weak or non-existent. To fix this issue, all you got to do is replace your thermostat, and you can easily do this yourself. One more thing that could cause the issue with heating would be the air in the system. Now, most of the cars have a bleed screw to let the air out. Now, that white screw right there is used to let the air out of the system on this particular car. And if you have any issues bleeding the system, make sure to press on all of the radiator hoses to try to push the air out. Also, try to get to the hoses in the back which lead to the heater matrix. Now, to solve this little problem, you got to bleed the system. First, unscrew this white screw to let all of the air out. When you get steady stream of water coming from the radiator, just put the screw back in. Another thing that could cause no heating in the cabin is going to be the low coolant level. If the system is starved of coolant, you might not get any to the heater matrix, and that's going to cause no heating. Now, the fix for that is, of course, going to be very simple. You're going to have to add more coolant, but besides that, as you already know, this is a closed system, so you got to figure out where you are losing the coolant. Another one would be the AC controls. Now, these fail rarely, however, I've seen it happen, and one thing that you got to do to fix it, you got to replace the whole unit. The good thing about it is that they are not too expensive to replace. Another thing that would cause poor heating or no heating would be a clogged cabin filter. You can see that this one is really dirty. It has a bunch of dirt and leaves and things like that in it. Now, when that happens, there is no sufficient airflow over the heater matrix, and that could cause the issue. Now, the solution for this is going to be very simple and cheap. All you got to do is replace the filter, and you can easily do this yourself for maybe like 10-15 euros. Next, we got the hot-cold flap motor. Now, to test these out, you gotta gain access to them. You gotta change the temperature from hot to cold and look for any movement and noise. If there isn't any, you have to replace the motor. Also, try to do this yourself because the garage will charge you a lot of money to replace it, since they're gonna remove the dash. Next, we got the hot-cold flap. These can fail. Sometimes they can break inside the vent box, and that's gonna be a huge problem, since that's gonna require the dash removal. Now, when you remove the motor, you can actually move this mount up and right and check if the flap is good. Also, while you are moving this flap mount, check the vent and see if the air is changing from hot to cold. Now to fix this problem, you have to take the vent box apart, which also means that you have to remove the dash. Moving on to one component of the ventilation system which many overlook, and those are going to be the air temperature sensors. Most of the modern cars have these, and this particular car with a dual climate controls has two of them on this right side, so there's the second one right up there, and we also got two more sensors on the left side of the car. Now to diagnose and fix these, you will need a diagnostic tool. You can see right here that I've selected all four sensors, and you can see the temperature readouts. Now if one of the sensors was, for example, reading out maybe like 80-90 degrees, then you would know that it is faulty. However, the good thing about this is that when you set your temperature to the max, all of these sensors are going to be overridden. Lastly, we are also going to cover the situation in which you are not getting any air out of the vents, and that's probably going to be caused by faulty resistor or even fan. Now to solve this issue, first check the fuses and relays if they are dedicated ones, but in most cases it's going to be the resistor. Again, you can easily do this job yourself, otherwise you're going to be paying a bit of money to a garage to do it for you. Now to test the resistor, before you remove it, just remove this connector from the fan and see if you are getting any power there. If you are not getting any power to the connector of the fan, you have a faulty resistor. Now I've also seen many cases in which water gets inside the cabin and gets to the electric motor of the fan and simply ruins it. Now to test it, of course, you're gonna have to remove it. As I said before, it's always a good idea to do this job yourself. It's not gonna be easy due to the poor access, but you can definitely do it yourself if you got some mechanical and electrical skill, and of course some basic tools. Now I'm gonna pull the fan out and we're gonna take a better look. Now you can see that this one is good, the motor turns properly. There is a bit of dirt, leaves and things like that, so I'm gonna make sure to clean everything good. But to test it out, I'm gonna take two wires, put it into the two terminals on this connector, and I'm gonna hook it up directly to the car's battery to make sure it works right. So anyway, those were the 10 things that could cause no heating in the cabin. As you could have seen, some of them are more complex, some less. However, if you are mechanically inclined, you can solve the issue that's bothering you yourself. Anyway, that would be all for this video. I hope you find it useful. If you did, hit that like button and support our channel by subscribing.